Hello, Frugal Force. Once again, this is Captain Frugal reporting for duty. Just a heads up there, if you don't know already and you want to help support this channel, make sure you hit like and subscribe. Hit that thumbs up so it gets more, shares it around a little bit more. Maybe tell somebody else about the channel if you like it. And if you really want to help the channel and support it, there's a link below for my Patreon, so you can help Little Frugal and I for as little as $1 a month. So now that the shilling's out of the way, let me get into business here. So anyway, it came to my attention a Dan Slott tweet again. And the only way I see Dan Slott tweets, just for the record, if somebody, screenshots it, posts it up, or gives it to me that way. Because, of course, I don't belong to the Dan Slott echo chamber. And that's really what this video is about. Here's the thing. Dan Slott had this tweet. You'll see it on the screen here. And the funny thing is Dan Slott has no problem singing his praises. He loves hearing everything good about himself. And then another funny thing about this too is not too long after this tweet, he had to make another tweet to clarify his tweet. As I'll show here. A tweet to clarify his tweet. You are a writer, Dan Slott. Dan Slott's a writer. It's one thing he ought to be able to do, but he has a history of this. He's had to clarify things in the comic book of ASM and tweets too. Which brings the title of my video here, the video idea, which is Dan Slott celebrates for a participation trophy. Dan Slott, I understand not bashing others. I'm going to give him that to climb up. But Dan Slott really has nothing to pat himself on the back and praise himself on Spider-Man. I'm sorry, not on ASM. You might say, well, I've written 1 out of every 5 issues. Well, that's sad, and we're glad in a way, because we're going to need those other 4 issues to get rid of the nasty taste and bleach our eyeballs from reading the garbage, poor depiction of poor prediction of Amazing Spider-Man in his books. They're just not been good. He hasn't wrote Peter Parker in character hardly ever. So, we're thankful for those other books. But I don't know what he thinks he has to celebrate for. I mean, he took a book with decent sales and, it wasn't as strong as it should be. I'm going to give him credit for there. Temporarily bumped it up for a little bit and then sent it sailing down ever since. The book right now is, let's be honest, is not selling well at all. He can brag and try to claim it is. Once again, this is Amazing Spider-Man. Spider-Man is such a well-known character. He's arguably one of the most known characters of all time. You can show somebody his finger, that's it, and they could probably tell you who he is. He's been in many movies. He's had merchandise all over the place. But yet his book, for some reason, hasn't been selling well. But of course, with Dan Slott, that would be every excuse other than his pen. Dan Slott will never accept accountability for any flaws, but he is all for accepting accountability for any praise. And that lies the problem. Dan Slott will retweet and signal boost his praises all day long, but if any constructive criticism, or any criticism period, comes his way, instant block. He's been notorious for calling people pixels or blocking people and then tweeting about them. But then turning around and trying to say, well, I won't tweet about people and username. That's not right. But then he turns around and does it. Or he will unblock you just to say a snide tweet back and then block you again before you can respond. Because that's the Dan Slott way. Because maybe all he does is he thinks about you as all you are is a pixel. In honesty, I think that's true. Dan Slott has a superiority complex. He's surrounded himself by nothing but praises, and so now he thinks himself to be the grand poobah. He can't handle criticism any way whatsoever. Also, remember, it was not too terribly long ago he kept saying he'll never be off of ASM. You'd have to pull him off. Well, then he's like, well, this leaving his plan. No, you were pulled off of ASM. Let's call it as it is. Dan Slott, there's no way he wasn't pulled off of ASM. I don't think he gave it up, wantingly. And so now he's moving to Iron Man. Now, I don't want to jump the gun and say it's going to be garbage beforehand, but notice this. Dan Slott is a big-time SJW liberal to the point of nutbaggery. Do you trust him writing a character like Tony Stark that was supposed to be more of a conservative? Remember, this is a guy that wrote Peter Parker as, I'm only good as a, becoming a corporate bigwig, but I'm only paying myself middle management wages, and I feel bad about buying a good suit. What? And this is the guy that's going to be penning Iron Man. I don't know about you. I fear that he's going to be taking a piss in old Shellhead's helmet. I just fear it. I'm not saying it won't be good. I hope to goodness I'm wrong. I hope it's good. But he just hasn't proven it to me. He's a guy that's viciously and venomously known for using hateful rhetoric to promote things. Like not too long ago with Iron Man, he tried to promote that with, then I'm going to piss people off. Well, that was his whole promotional attitude for Spider-Man. Got good news for you, Dan. You do piss people off. Because your writing sucked on Spider-Man. That's why you pissed people off. Yes, you pissed him off for killing Peter Parker as well, technically, and making him in a meat suit and raping people. But yeah, I digress there. No, I mean, seriously, there's reasons you piss people off. Maybe also because of how you treat people on social media and how you tweet mean, dastardly things and then try to play the victim when people respond to you. You sit there and constantly say you're going to piss people off, but then you act all surprised and oblivious to people being pissed off. It's an amazing conundrum. But nonetheless, this is the Dan Slott problem. He writes himself into his echo chamber of praise himself and how wonderful he is, and then goes off to the block land the second you disagree. If you don't believe me, take a challenge. Okay? Start a Twitter account and just keep it around for a few months. Every week or so, send him some praises of how great he is. Okay? And then one time, post something negative about a book. See what happens. One time, all you have to do is be critical of one of his thoughts, and boom, you are evil and you are blocked. It's because the SJW mentality will turn and eat their own on a second's notice because they have such thin skin they cannot accept any criticism whatsoever. And when you do, they get vicious. They try to dox you and figure out who you are, and even sometimes pretend they don't, but yet you look and they align themselves. By the way, the same guy that will criticize you for who you follow on Twitter or whose videos you watch will turn around, was perfectly fine following Melissa Morg. Think about that. You know, the guy pretending to be a woman that went absolutely crazy and posted that she was murdered and everything else. Followed that person. So by his own guilt by association, what does that make him? That's food for thought. I don't agree with guilt by association necessarily, but it's amazing how they do, but they don't hold themselves to the same standards. That's just it right there. He should celebrate for his participation trophy. You should all like it, don't condemn, because we tried hard. Last time I've checked, trying hard does not mean you always succeed. You learn from your failures, you learn from your mistakes. There lies one of Dan Slott's problems. He repeats the same problem over and over again in comic books. Large, grandiose plot ideas, fast upstarts, muddy middle, and a failure to stick the landing. Inability to write the character in character because he has to subvert his own opinions and theology into the character rather than writing the character. He has to preach to you, and then he'll tell you and have the nerve to say that he doesn't put politics and preach in comic books. But ask him about his feminist agenda when Peter Parker's wearing his girlfriend's shirt. How the heck did it fit? Of ask me my feminist agenda as he's living on her couch. He's one step from walking in and watching Mockingbird getting banged by Norman Osborn and just watching. Because he'd probably be okay with it. Wouldn't be surprised if we hear some lame joke about MJ getting lead poisoning anytime soon. He expects awards for doing the minimum. Heck, if anything, he's decimated the brand. Well, anyway, that's my thoughts. A little raging, maybe a little biased too, I might add. That's my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know what you think. Do you feel confident in Dan Slott's Iron Man, or are you a little timid about that? If you like this video, once again, please be sure to hit like and subscribe and hit that notifications. Until next time, guys, keep it frugal.